Hello, and welcome to another episode of Heart Wild Podcast. I am so happy to be sitting here today with Queen, known as Zenobia Jackson. Hello, darling. It's so good to see you.
It is so good to see you, Queen Carrie, and I just love your smile. It is contagious.
Oh, thank you. It's funny because well, first I want to tell people a little bit about what you do, and then I also want to talk about how we met. You
Cool.
are a Christian life coach. I know you are a speaker, and I know you teach lessons of the Bible.
Yeah.
Your specialty, I should say, because I think we talked about that when we were getting a certificate, like your niche is helping people find their path and stay on their path with the lessons of God as a way to help them stay on that path. Did I do it?
Girl, you summed it perfectly. Yes.
So yes, let's tell people about how we met. Do you want to go into that or should I?
Yes. Well, I can share. So we met through eCornell University. It's an online college institution where they have a variety of different things that people can get their certification in. And Carrie and I were in the wellness counseling portion of that institution. And I believe we kind of just clicked because of like your desire. Like Carrie, you have a I'm willing to learn attitude. You're very humble, you're open to people, you're open to new things and trying new things. Like there are no walls with Carrie, at least nothing I can see. And and you were just very inviting. You were very inviting. So I think that's how we kind of just kicked it off. We were already wanting to serve people, wanting to help people, and when they leave us, leave them better than they were, when they came into our presence. And so, yeah, that's how we met. And we've been kind of going back and forth here and there. So thank you again for having me.
Yes. It's funny because it was an online course, but I felt like if it was like in a classroom, like you and I would have been up in center right next to each other, right in the front row in the center.
Yes, I'm a
Yes.
front seat student in
I am too.
everything.
I'm in the front as well. So I felt like we were always there together. And yeah, our energy definitely clicked because I could tell with your engagement and your enthusiasm and your passion, it was contagious. And so that's what led us together. And we've been trying to support each other ever since. So I'm so grateful you're here today.
Me too.
And I know that you are on your life path. And I know that it wasn't always easy for you. Do you mind sharing with us, like, kind of how you got to where you are today? How are you on your life path and being able to guide others with theirs?
For me personally, what I realized was that I believe all of us are born with a purpose, like something that we were put here on this earth to do to make it better. But a lot of times, especially when you're young, you don't really understand it. And especially if you don't have adults around you to see it in you, to undergird you in it. You're just kind of out in the world, like flapping on a clothesline, just out here, And so for me, I struggled at a very young age with my self-worth, my identity. And a lot of that came from like when my mom and dad got a divorce, right? Mm-hmm. So being a little girl, it's like, not knowing that this was an adult matter, but you still think like maybe if I was nicer to my dad, or maybe I did something wrong to cause this breakup. And so I'm not good enough. Like that was the final word that I always got in life, was like, you're not good enough for this. You're not good enough for that. But when I came into a place of surrendering and saying like, you know what, I can't do this on my own anymore. Like I'm trying everything in my willpower and I'm just getting the same results over and over and over again. And so I accepted Jesus, as my Lord and Savior. And in doing that, and in my reading, Queen Carrie, I found that even outside of my dad, and even outside of my mom, I am a part of a royal family, a royal priesthood. And that was like yeah, girl, you are worth a whole lot. You're worth more than you ever thought, like, and so the very thing that I feel that was trying to steer me off of my life's purpose has now become my ministry for other women. So once upon a time, I struggled with self-worth and identity issues, and looking at everybody else and say, okay, she can do it, but I don't think I can do that. Like, and it's like, once I realized that I am created for greatness, and like I got the whole army of heaven behind me, ain't no stopping me. There's no stopping me now.
Yeah. Well, your wound became your wisdom. It's like
Yeah.
your science is experimental. Like how how these women are feeling and the struggles and how to guide them because you've been there. And there's nothing that can replace that. You can do all the reading in the world, but unless you live through it and experience it, that's where the knowledge really is. And so
Exactly.
your pain is what you now is your wisdom that you are able to guide people with.
Look, you're gonna hashtag that, okay? Womb, turn it to wisdom, baby. I love it.
Someone actually randomly, I was walking in the park one day and this lovely woman and I had a lovely conversation and she told me that and I'm like, I'm stealing it. So and I kind of came back and I don't even remember her name, but we were just walking. We had a great conversation. So if she's listening, she should know that I did steal it for sure.
But it is awesome and I love it. I'm gonna borrow it from you. I'm not gonna
You
steal it.
you can steal it from me because I stole it from her. But so
Awesome.
you found your life path and you found it through God. But our life path is not always smooth and straight line. There's bumps in the roads and there's curves and we get our hits.
Yeah.
Have you had their moments of doubt like, hey, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? And if you have,
Yes. Yes. Listen, all of this, I'm still a work in progress.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I feel like is different about even, yourself and myself. Like, I don't believe that we pretend that we have it together. A lot of people can do that. A lot of women, like, we like to put these masks on and pretend that the business is operating seamlessly. The husband is doing what he needs to do. The dog is doing what they do. Like, but that is not the real world. That is not it. And I believe that. So for me, dealing with childhood trauma, growing up in an physically abusive family and emotionally abusive family, dealing with self worth up until I was about 40, if I can be honest with you, Carrie. I'll be 42 in August of this year. And I just got to a place of where I have this I don't care how you feel about the attitude. Not disrespectfully, but it's like I'm so focused on what I know God has called me to do. I realize now everybody is not for me, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you find your people, when you find your tribe, that's where you go. That's where you gravitate to. That's where you pour, and that's where you are also filled. You're replenished as well. And so it took me a minute, 40 years to get to a place of just I'm at peace. I am loving myself for the first time, like truly loving what I see in the mirror. I'm loving the work that I've been called to do. I'm loving the people that I'm serving. I'm enjoying life, but it took 40 years to get there. So no, you're right. It is not success or whatever we deem success. Honey, you have some highs, you have some lows, you have some twists and turns and roller coaster rides. Like it could be crazy, but yeah.
But we can take our life experience and that knowledge that we've gained, and now when we are in those down times, we have the tools, we have the knowledge to know how to get through it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
no, well, it's like we are human. And we will, we will have our moments where we are sad, we are frustrated, we are angry, we are, in a down moment, and denying ourselves that moment. We're denying ourselves from being human, and we become more disconnected from ourselves. So we have to allow ourselves, even if we're trying to be role models, to be real.
Yeah.
But now we have this life wisdom to get us through those down times.
Yes, that's it. Life will teach you so many things, but like you said, we have to take those and allow it to be for our good. Use those tools to help us. And I remember I was working out the other morning, and one lady was just really, really struggling. And I told her, I said, your best is not going to look the same every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I freed her and me in that moment because I was struggling too with those weights. Okay. And I was like, our best is not going to look the same every day. We have to extend grace to ourselves. We extend grace to everyone else except for ourselves.
Yeah.
So even as women, if you think that you're going to get to the gym and you put your sweats on, you like, I'm going to get to this gym, and the only thing you did was walk around the house in your sweats. Okay, well, that was the best you could do today. We'll try again tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that's it. And actually, the best you did is amazing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I love there's someone out there is like, so what do you do? And it's like, I try my best. That's that's all I do, and we are all trying our best. And like you said, when we give that grace, I'm trying my best. You're trying my best. Everyone around me is trying their best. Yeah. Even if it doesn't come across, even if they're really struggling and they're still trying.
Exactly.
And having that empathy, understanding, it allows us to have that grace towards ourselves and towards the other people and around us.
Yeah. That's it, Court.
Yeah. So actually, it's really cute because I wanted to see like some of the advice what's some of your favorite advice that you like to give people.
Oh, God, advice. Oh, so going back to what I just shared about extending grace to yourself.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is that this walk that we're living, because again, going back to how I feel like it was something wrong with me because my dad left, or because this client and I didn't work well together. Like I'm always doing this internal like check of myself. But the second thing is that at the end of the day, this journey is between me and God. Right? It's like it's between He and I. And so I have to make sure that I'm hearing from Him and that I'm being obedient to Him, even when people don't show up, even when those that I feel should support me don't. You know what I'm saying? We have those moments. Even when I have to explain 1,000 times what a Christian life coach is. It's like, but this is personal. This is a personal journey for us to grow and to become better. And so that's the second thing, that this journey is between you and God. And I would say the third piece of advice that I give women, because that's predominantly my clientele, is that you're not your past. Mm-hmm. Like you're not too damaged to grow. You're not too damaged to grow and learn and flourish and become even more. Like nothing has happened in your life to where you have to remain in a broken state. You don't have to. Mm-hmm. I don't care what your testimony is. I don't care what you went through. You don't have to remain in that place and space. And so a lot of women, we carry that. We carry things that have taken place in our lives. And we identify and we say, okay, this is who I am. And I'm like, no, it is not.
You give them hope. You give them the opportunity to have that, to have optimism towards the future and to have optimism towards change. To not even have optimism, just to be able to see it first.
Yes.
And then have the optimism towards it. You're the missing link to help them find it.
Praise God.
Yeah, and it's really fun. This is another thing that I love about you, because you're Christian, and I am more yogi and a lot of Hindu influence, but so many of our lessons parallel. And you were talking about God's path and, you know, the relationship with God. And there's a yogi term called brahmacharya, which is, it really breaks down to as God's path.
Oh.
Brahma being God and Charya's path. So are your actions and God's path being your path that God has intended for you?
Yes.
Is my actions, are they keeping me on God's path? Or am I being pulled away by senses, you know, ooh, this over here or that over there?
Yes, yes.
No, is this person talking over there? Is that with my path? Or is this party over here? Is that part of my path? No, I need to stay on my path. And it's
Yes.
I love that you have your approach and I have our approach, my approach, and you boil down the essence. It's about being on our path, what God wants us to be on.
Yes, you had to send me that word so I can look that up and I can even teach a little bit around that. That's beautiful.
I will. There was a period of time when people associated it with oh gosh, now I'm doing with not having sex, with celibacy, because people who have mindless sex, they're more pleasing their senses, which pulls you off your path. And so if you're just having sex for the sake of sex, so there was a period where people interpreted brahmacharya as celibacy, but it really does boil down to being on your path and staying on.
I love that. That's beautiful.
It is, and it's exactly what you're teaching too. That's what you're teaching.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, well, I think this is an easy question, but I always love to ask it because it's a good one. What do you love most about what you do?
Oh gosh, what do I love most? What I love most about what I do is connecting the dots for women and seeing them, like seeing the change in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like from when we first started until the end of our time together, like the revelations that they receive, that aha moment, like I get it now. And they leave happier. They leave empowered. They leave with a sense of knowing who they are. No longer is like, well, God doesn't speak to me. It's like, yes, he does speak to me and I can hear him now, you know?
You brought the light in.
Girl, the light.
You brought the love in. And you're seeing it in their eyes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's like night and day, Carrie.
Yeah.
It is night and day.
And the thing is that we would do our work for free. Like it is that rewarding to see that moment.
Yeah. And look, and I have done it for free. Yes, I
have done that too many times. But that's okay because you need to share it and it will come back. Sharing love always comes back as love for sure.
Yeah, true spoken, Queen. True spoken.
I am so glad we got to connect today. Thank you so much. I know you had to pull over and take the time to talk. And so thank you so much for taking the time. It was such a delight.
You are welcome. You are one of the ones that I would do that for. You're special, even though we do not talk as often, but I believe that for certain people in your life, it's kind of like whenever you reconnect with them, it's like you haven't skipped a beat, you know, and I think that's what we have, which is very, very special. So I'm here for you because I know that you're here for me. And this was amazing. I had a blast doing this with you.
I had a wonderful time too. And yes, our sisterhood, it was an instant the moment we met. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you, Carol. See you soon.